the level 9 in BIM and digital leadership. So I said I do it in like a roadmap so you can see what's going on. So first module will be starting in January 24, and that goes on for one semester until June. And I deliver that myself. So that's typically all online, that module. Then we move on to the visual programming module, and that starts in September of the same year. And Andy delivers that module where they look at some visual programming aspects. So that's an elective. There's also a second elective there for BIM for sustainability. There's kind of two options there for you to choose from. And then you move on then to the following year. The next semester is your applied work-based research project. And we'll go look at that in a bit more detail. But you find a problem in your company and you do some primary and secondary research on that. And you get your award then at the end of that at 60 credits. And once you have your 60 credits, then you can progress on to the master's, where you deliver a minor thesis. And typically that thesis is built off the back of your module 4 there, which is your applied work research project. So you're kind of fine tuning a problem you have found or a gap in research, and you fine tune that up to a level 9 standard. And that then is delivered online as well. With Dr. Martin Taggart in Galway campus as well. So it's all ATU Galway campus as well. So at the end, then you get your 90 credits, which is your master's in BIM and digital leadership. So the learning outcomes are to demonstrate the ability to critically evaluate leadership in organizations. So you learn quite a lot about organization. And the expectation is that you analyze your own working practice, and you look at the digital maturity of your practice, your organization, and you do a critical analysis of it. So that it's quite interesting in that your output for that first module, we can see up here is BIM and digital leadership is the name of the module. You do a current state map of your own practice currently. Then you do some gap analysis. And when you find your gaps, then you look at a future state map where you identify where are the gaps, and you do like a roadmap over 5 years to identify where you're going to be over the next 5 years and what you need to do and what are the critical aspects for your organization. So that is the first module, and then we move on then to I suppose maybe I've forgotten there to talk about. So each week we have an industry speaker that comes in. So here's a list of some of our speakers from before, and we have at the top there we have a quote from one of our students who was working in an architectural practice, a big enough architectural practice, and he came in, I suppose, into the program thinking, you know, our process are pretty tight, happy enough, but as you kind of break through, you'll always find gaps no matter what. And he was very happy towards the end to create this 5-year roadmap, and he used that as his vision plan, and it started to help his organization pull together and see why are we using BIM and what's the benefits of BIM, and it helped him to articulate what he needed to do. So the visual programming then, again, like the last one, you're identifying real world problems in construction, and then you come up with an innovative solution. So in this instance here, we're looking at Dynamo, and we're automating, you know, mundane tasks maybe. I don't know if there's a better way of saying that, Andy. Andy delivers the module, but it demonstrates your critical evaluation as well. And the assessment is 100% project work. So I think the students really like this module because it's something a problem they have in their company that they get to solve. So they get education and they get kudos in their organization for speeding up the process. Did you want to come in, Andy?
Yeah, so myself and Jared Nicholson give that module. The students find that they love that module because they're trying to solve problems that they encounter every day in work. And they develop 2 projects. First one dealing with compliance. So they'll come up with typically using Dynamo scripts to automate compliance checking or compliance issues in check or in work. And students have a fairly broad background. So it's interesting to see how the solutions they come up with, and as well the problems that they actually that they need solutions to come up with for. And then the second project, then they're free to create a series of scripts to automate whatever they want in the office, something that's a mundane task. So at the moment we've one student who's doing they work on a lot of schools and hospitals and things like that, but he's currently creating scripts that will create a floor plan for every single room, a ceiling plan, elevations for all the walls. It'll name them all correctly, put them all on a sheet, and tag all the elements in each of them.
Oh,
So
I think you might be able to sell that one afterwards.
Sorry?
You might be able to sell that one afterwards, Andy.
Yeah, and we're only on week 5. So
Great.
yeah, it's very interesting to see. He's already using it in the office. He's not fully finished yet. He will be soon, but he's already using parts of it in the office again, just to save quite a bit of time in work.
Great. It's a great insight. Thanks for that, Andy. So the next elective then, guys, should you choose to do it, so you've got an option, either the visual program that Andy talked about there, or this BIM for sustainability. And again, it's quite practical module in that you're introduced to IES, the platform, the VE version, and you do some daylight analysis, energy analysis, ventilation design. So it really depends on your skill set coming in, what you want to look at. Also, BIM for life cycle analysis is another interesting aspect. So I don't know if anyone is aware, but the IES software wouldn't be that graphic. It doesn't exactly represent. So maybe a wall with a thickness, all it is a plane. So the models don't look that fantastic, but the output at the back end is really good. And IES doing some great work at the minute. So we have licenses for IES, and we're doing a digital twin of the campus as well. So hopefully we might get to bring that into the masters as well at some stage, if there was someone that was interested in that. So again, it's elective, it's 15 credits, it's blended. So there might be, depending on your proficiencies in the software, you might prefer to come in for a couple of classes. And then after that, when you get more comfortable with it, you can go online and everything is recorded. So there's a blended approach to that. So the next module then is required. It's 20 weeks and 30 credits. So it's your applied work-based project where you go out and you get introduced to research and the theory of research, and then you look at a work-based problem. So again, and all these modules that we're talking about here, it's all to do with, practical implications within your organization. So rather than going off doing a research project on something that has nothing to do with your work, I think it's far more useful if you can do something that's applicable to your organization, and it helps you progress your career as well. So that research project is the 20 weeks. So I think there's 6 workshops, and then you get a supervisor for the remainder for your research project. And Dr. John Scahill delivers that module. So you can get an award then after the 60 credits, and you can exit. So you've got your first module, then you've got one of your electives, and then you've got your work-based project at the end. So then if you want to move on to the master's, so you have to deliver your thesis. So again, it's 30 credits, so it's quite intensive, and it's broken down over the 26 weeks. So you have research, you have a proposal, you have a journal paper to produce, and then you have a conference presentation at the end. So like I was saying earlier, the thesis is built off the previous one up here where we're looking at our work-based research projects. So I know a lot of people that want to move on to the master's, but it's finding it too daunting to do. But if you've done the work-based research project first, it really hones your skills so that when you go on to do the master's at the end, you have a lot of the heavy lifting done. You've got the theory done, you've got the practice as well, and you're just kind of honing your skills then for your thesis at the end. And Martin Choggart is the man that delivers that module, and he is excellent, I must say, in what he does. So you'll be in safe pair of hands there with Martin. So the funding scheme then, guys, like Andy said, we're in a bit of flux at the minute, but we're trying to get the fees as reasonable as possible. So these programs are DASBE funded. So you can see 500 for the cert. I can't remember what we agreed for finish on the HDIP. but funding is substantial. The cert is 750, the postgrad is 1,500, and then the master's is 2,250, which is quite substantial funding. The applications are open currently, guys, so you can log on to the ATU or log on to DASBE actually, and it'll bring you in much quicker. Go into the dasbe.ie, go into your pillar, the digital pillar, search for your course, and apply now button. Click on that. You'll have to register your name and that, and then you go and make the application. It closes on the 9th of January. Typically, it's the 9th of January, might be the 8th or the 7th, depending on the days of the week. And what we'd recommend is, if you were thinking about it, I'd say put in an application now. It's very easy, just pull it out afterwards. But don't leave it to the last minute in January. So that would be my advice there on that. The funding is still going on for another 2 years. After that, then I don't know about how the funding will happen. It's very hard to see what's going to happen there with the funding. So before we can do questions now, guys, at the end, but I'm just going to play this in the background while we're answering questions. Just to give you a feel for some of the output. A lot of this output is through what Andy talked about earlier in his HDIP and BIM